Devil inside. Boy, the devil better be glad he wasn't inside that theater tonight. The people were mad as hell.
Oh, yeah.
No, I think people going straight to hell to get their money back.
I know.
Hey, man, give my refund.
And that was better. That was a better ending than the movie, where I was like, oh, for once, you guys finally fucking woken up and opened up your eyes to see what these movies are full of shit and how you should stop spending your goddamn money on them.
I know.
That's what I don't get. The ending, I ended the way I expected it to end because all these movies end the same way. And then suddenly they have the audience mad, like, oh, it cut off right as something's about to happen. I'm like, every last one of these does this. I take that back. There are two that don't do it.
Which ones?
Cloverfield and Apollo 18.
Okay, never saw Apollo 18.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
No. Apollo 18 is basically a Twilight Zone episode that they were too cheap to shoot correctly.
Yeah.
So they just made it a found footage film.
Oh, okay.
But it's got like that dun 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 ending on it. But all the rest of these, it's like a bunch of like watching slowly. Oh, someone has some. Okay. What? Did you see that in the corner? Oh, well, okay, all right, maybe not. Oh, jump, there's a cat.
You always got. I was about to say, you always got to get my man the cat in there. With
And then right when you're like, oh shit, it's happening. Oh shit, what's gonna happen next? It's off. What? Wait, what? What's
Okay.
what's the rest of
And that's kind of like the shitty thing about it. I mean, because everything else before that, it was a slow crawling buildup. You know, they introduce you to the characters. They give you all their theories about what they think of exorcisms. As far as when you get introduced to the priest who perform these, and you know they're building the characters. But I mean, it's like until then, it's just kind of paint by numbers. Until like the very, I guess towards the end of it, where it's like, okay, they're throwing a new element in these movies that I guess some people could say that it's pretty original. And then as soon as they start going with it, the movie's over.
Yeah, you see, that's my problem with the movie, and I'll explain to you, Leon. And you know what? Tonight we were talking about the movies we were walking out. I can see what you like in it, and I can see some other people liking certain aspects of this film that we don't see in things like Paranormal Activity and the other two movies that follow, and other found footage movies out there. But this movie is about exorcism. And it follows a character named Isabella Rossi, played by Rossi, Rositi
and Rossi,
but played by TV actress Fernanda Andrade, I think is her name. Anyway, which is cool because being that she's a TV actress, nobody's really ever seen her in film.
Right.
And so it adds to the documentary film of this movie, which I think is one of the better aspects of this movie. But she's going to investigate her mother, who people believe she might have a demon in her, and she wants to explore the time that she killed somebody during an exorcism.
Yeah.
And there's a documentary filmmaker who's following her around. They go to Rome, and she ends up the Vatican City, and she ends up getting not only involved in the history of her mother's own exorcism, but she's getting brought along on a series of other exorcisms that these Catholic priests are exploring.
These two renegade priests who are operating under the wire. They're unsanctioned priests.
The priests have gone rogue.
We're going deep under that.
Don't tell nobody. Shh, but bring your camera.
They are the A-team of Catholic priests who perform exorcisms.
The crack priest commando. You know, but that guy, that's what gets me. Like, one of them's like, no one must ever find out about this. And it's like, well, don't you think you should get this fucking cameraman out there? We're going to come out. Your ass going to be on YouTube tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. He's like, I know they're going to find out. No shit, Sherlock. You got a goddamn camera.
Now these guys, they've had this conflict where they're like, okay, look, the church does not want us doing this. At the same time, people need to know. They seem to be conflicted. Like, we kind of need to get the word out so we can get some support and show that what we're doing isn't bullshit. At the same time, we know we're going to get busted, so let's just go for it.
Let's just do it, yeah.
I love that these guys, too, were like the 21 Jump Street of the Vatican, to where I'm like, wow, these guys are really young. These guys just got out of high school, and they're already fighting the devil. I'm like, damn.
In Vatican City, half the population are priests. There's little kids walking around with white collars on.
No shit. They hand them Bibles as soon as they're born.
Yeah, no, you try to act like they're the Dookie houses of the Vatican. Shit. You come out the womb with a fucking Bible in your hand. Yeah, but man, my problem with this movie, as opposed to what we see in these other films, is that say what you will about the Paranormal Activity movies, but
they're shit. Sorry.
Well, some people would say that, and some people wouldn't. And the people that wouldn't, they would say, even though, I mean, these days they try to pass these movies off as real, but ever since the Blair Witch Project, nobody has really thought these movies were real.
Right.
And people go in, I think, knowing that, and no matter how cheesy it is, they really want a fun experience with the movie. They want the gimmicks. They want those cheap jump scares. They want, they want, like, just, even if you can't see it, they want to see stuff just floating and crashing across the room. They want that cat going out like,
they're the perfect haunted house movies.
That's the thing. They're really haunted house movies. Now, this, I admire it for the approach that it's trying to take, but I don't know how this movie's going to perform. I'm always wrong about these things, but my sense, and judging by the audience that was upset, and I really don't like to always use this audience, but this is one of the few times I've seen an audience at a free movie who loved everything where they got up pissed about it. I just don't think that whole realistic aspect is going to play too well to people who are used to these found footage type movies. I think that they try to push that too much to where they're giving you a whole lot of drama between the scares. And I know how these people feel, because that drama to me didn't matter. These actors couldn't really carry it. It seemed like it got to a point where they were just trying to ad lib, and it didn't work. That the story got a little muddled, and speaking of the story, it was directionless too. It just didn't really seem to go anywhere.
It really was. No, you're absolutely right, because the trailer had more direction than this entire movie did. Because, like, I mean, we've all seen the trailer. We've all seen, there's obviously an issue with the girl's mother who's possessed with something. So you kind of walk in assuming that it's going to be about her and it's going to be another typical movie, like any other Exorcist movie. But as soon as they jump on her story, they jump right out. They've revisited it again for a second, and then it's gone again. And then the whole time you're like wondering, okay, well, what is the whole point of this whole exercise to begin with? Like, is it to help her? Is it to help the mother to get the issue out that, these exorcisms are out there and, they need to get recognized more? And at that point, you're so lost and confused about what is going on. You got 20 people talking into a camera all the time. It seems like it is how many times they cut back to so many different people giving their own point of view of what this whole thing is about. You're lost. You really don't know what the hell is going on.
Co-host, this is why you should not watch trailers, because then you assume and you make an ass out of you.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I fucked up. Okay.
I'm sorry if I bought a can of Pepsi and ended up being Coke.
Yeah.
Not even Coke. It ended up being like some old generic grocery ass cola. You know what I mean?
Should let the marketing guys fool you like that.
But what is this demon in my soda? But man, I know what you're saying by this seems to you to be one of the more probably sincere sort of films in this genre. I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because just talking to you right now, because when you came out and everybody was like, those people hating the ending. I was like, well, you know what? They had the exact same reaction when we came out of Unbreakable. So fuck them. I don't care what they say. But the way you were like, that was awful. And I was just so the opposite on it. And asking you, like, I don't understand what makes this different from that. But what you just said, okay, I get it. I see that whatever I hate about these found footage movies and you guys hate is probably different things. And all the stuff you're saying, like, the audience won't react because it's not a haunted house. It's not a fun ride movie. I was happy. I'm like, I'm tired of those. I'm like, I'm not a little kid. I like that it was more sincere, that it had the conceit of being a documentary filmmaker, not just some amateur bozo who just bought a camera who suddenly is getting shots he wouldn't be able to get shots of. I mean, it had a reason to have this going on. And for the most part, if I had just picked this up as a documentary, there would have been a while I would have been looking at it going like, wow, shit. Then it would come apart and I was like, wait, no way. But the way it started, I was like, you know what? They're doing a good job of holding to the premise. And even if somebody was shooting a documentary, an unfinished documentary about this going on, yeah, the story wouldn't have a direction, a flow, the way it would want you to go. They would just film what was there. Well, I thought it worked under the rules that it set up.
See, I did it. I thought they completely fumbled the ball with that, and I'll tell you why. Because they introduced the director of that documentary as another character. Right. Where he shouldn't have been there. I think these movies work when there's nobody. You don't know who the fuck is behind the camera, so you don't have their perspective, and you don't have their reasoning for making the documentary. Which when they added this character, it went on a whole nother direction, and it went nowhere. It really didn't go anywhere.
It was so freaky. That's why he came from around the camera. Because often the question is like, who is this jackass who won't put the camera down?
But we don't need him to be the audience. We're the audience. That's kind of what is the whole purpose of having these found footage movies.
Crazy. We do need somebody else to come in because you can't trust the girl
I don't
anymore.
think so.
You certainly can't trust the priest.
I don't think so either. I mean, I thought that they just. it's always kind of cool when you don't have the director putting himself in it too much. But I mean that's not what bothered me. I tell you what bothered me the most, and I think what bothered the audience. They're along for the ride, and they kind of feel insulted when you push the realism of the movie too much. When you to the point where you're asking them to do work for a movie that's a fake ass film that they know is fake. Because I'm not ruining anything by telling people at the very end of the movie. They tell you, for more information about this exorcism, go to this website, find out the truth. We know the truth is this ain't nothing true about this shit.
And it's like,
but I'll tell you what it reminds me of. It reminds me there was a movie that did this also, and people were just pissed that they felt insulted. It was that movie, The Fourth Kind.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah,
I was like,
Mila Jovovich
because
movie.
that movie did it already. Then this time when it came up, I was like, all right, whatever. Because I was pissed when that movie did it. I was like, how dare you insult me and think that I'm stupid enough to believe
Well,
this?
it leads up to nothing, too. I mean, the climax that we get, see, this is what I mean by directionalist. Like, the movie starts to get interesting after a bunch of just talking and people starting to confess to each other and getting angry at each other. And finally when people think like, okay, what's happening here? What is this demon up to? It's over. And people are literally like waiting. I mean, because the screen blacked out and people are like, what's going to happen next? Go to this website at www.fuckyou.com. You know,
it seems like they're trying to get you like invested in the franchise. Or it's like going through one of those hell houses, and then all of a sudden you see all this crazy shit, and then there's a guy waiting for you at the door to go, here's a pamphlet so you can read more all about this. Hey, do you want to join our church? Do you want to join it? Hey, we got another one coming out next year. You ready for it? You've gotten to the point to where you're pushing your shit on me. You're not really trying to entertain me or to make me feel like I've just found a found footage, documentary.
Yeah.
You're selling me on a franchise at this point, which is what I think a lot of the people, I guarantee you a good 90% of them were really pissed off about that. But the fact that the movie had almost nothing to say that we haven't seen before. And as soon as it got interesting, as soon as people felt invested in that last 10 minutes, they cut off the goddamn camera.
See,
and how can you not be pissed off about
I keep
that?
hearing you guys say this, and yeah, you're right about that thing with the website at the end. That was boneheaded.
Because there was 3 cards that came up. It's like, check this out, and then after you do that, go look at this, and then after that, and then watch it on TV when it comes. Yeah,
the devil was there himself. Would you like to find out more about possession? Allow me to possess your mama when you get home.
That would have been awesome. In a devil costume, waiting outside, hand out Jack Chick comics.
I know, man. I know.
Nice wife you have there, sir. Let me get up in it real quick. Learn more about possession.
But the whole thing of saying that nothing interesting happened until the end, I was like, all right, Blair Witch. Those annoying kids stumbled around up until the very end when something happened and it cut off. Paranormal Activity, an annoying family where shit might move an inch or a chair stands up and then find somebody gets thrown against the wall and then it's over. But here you did have those scenes with those demonic possessions with the contortionism and the girl bleeding from her cootie and a cootie a close up gruesome suicide. I mean there was stuff going on. I mean sure, you've seen it in The Exorcist and other possession movies, but in these kind of movies, at least it had something happening where it's like, wow, those are actually genuine disturbing images they have. Instead of me just sitting there going like...
Okay, may I address this, please? Because I see what you're saying, but in the case of the Blair Witch Project, you say what you will about the Blair Witch Project, very revolutionary film almost. For the majority of your audiences out there, never saw anything released like that. It was a movie that was a video put on the big screen. The marketing behind it was very secret before we even had anything as viral as we do today. And it worked, man. The marketing in that movie was great, and it got the audience involved. It worked.
It set the groundwork.
Yeah, it did. So that movie's groundbreaking. You're right. The movie's groundbreaking for what it is. In the terms of Paranormal Activity, that movie works where this movie didn't. It's a build-up. I mean, it might be slow, but there are just little things